Alright everyone, welcome to Wednesday's video as we continue the Celtic chat at the start of the off-season. That's the bad news. The good news is, and I worked this out earlier, we're actually only 38 days away from the next Celtic first team fixture that we know about. It's a friendly away to Ayr United on July the 5th. So, 38 days, that's kind of manageable, especially when we'll have the Euros on. We'll have transfer stuff. We're expecting a pretty busy summer, I think it's fair to say, at Celtic Park. There should be plenty to chat about. In fact, we've got a few of those stories today, and they may just rumble on a little bit. Okay, I covered the Adam Idah stuff at length yesterday, what Celtic's intentions are, what Adam Idah is saying about his future and potentially signing for Celtic. Spoiler, not a lot. And I don't really want to do it all again, because I feel like if that happens, we'll just be doing it every single day and covering every single development. And that will become very boring very quickly for you. However, there was a bit of an update at 10:30 last night from the Daily Record. They say that the Celtic board are committed to fulfilling Brendan Rodgers' wish about signing Idah. As we spoke about yesterday, it's very obvious that Brendan Rodgers wants to sign him, and he said he's made that clear to the Celtic board. Now, the fee mentioned in this report is said to be in the region of £6 million, and it could be less. I would say there's a fair chance it could be a little bit more than that as well. Norwich are currently without a manager. They sacked David Wagner, I think after they lost to Leeds, I want to say, in the English Championship playoffs. So they're managerless at the moment. That could add a layer of difficulty to us signing Idah, as obviously a new manager may come in there, or will come in there, and may want to take a look at Idah. But as we're saying, the report says that Celtic are working on the assumption that they will have Idah back for next season. He's obviously made such an impact at the club, scored 9 goals, the last of them a Scottish Cup final winner in the last minute against Rangers. So yeah, I guess we'll have to wait and see on this one. I think it would be a huge boost if the club were able to sign him. Clearly, Brendan Rodgers wants him, and as much as when Idah initially came in January, there wasn't many people that were delighted to see him signed. I think that would be very different if we signed him permanently over the coming weeks. And I was kind of looking back to think, a couple of summers ago, how long did it take before we signed Carter Vickers and Jota? You may remember Cameron Carter-Vickers arrived very early in that window, I believe on June the 10th. Now, could we see something similar with Idah? It would be amazing. I think things will probably drag on a little longer, but I'm still hopeful that we'll sign him. Paulo Bernardo, meanwhile, has seemed to suggest that he won't be returning to us next season in a bombshell social media post. That's probably what the tabloids are saying. The reality is that Paulo Bernardo posted this, saying, "Grateful for this season. Thank you very, very much for all the support." The latest from Portuguese outlet O Jogo says that Celtic are evaluating whether to move for Bernardo. The fee quoted to sign him is around £6.4 million. He's also said not to be in Benfica's plans for next season. I'm sure Brendan Rodgers will know what he wants to do here with Bernardo. I'm actually surprised that he's not been asked about that. There's been so many questions about Idah. Why has nobody asked him whether he wants to sign Bernardo? I mean, he may not necessarily have told everyone his intentions on that one, but it would have been nice to know about that. And yeah, I mean, £6.4 million, that's €7.5 million. That's what's quoted in this report in Portugal. I think a lot of people would probably balk at paying that amount for a guy who's like not been incredible, or wasn't incredible for that season. He certainly had his big moments, 3 big ones in the derbies that were massive contributions in our season. But I think generally he's not really been a player who's started too many matches. I'd say the vast majority of his appearances have come off the bench, and you may look at over £6 million for him and think, yeah, that's quite a lot to be shelling out on a player who hasn't been a starter for us. I think personally that's a reasonable enough price for Celtic to be paying. I mean, you go back 20 years and Celtic paid that amount for players, and I feel like we've got to kind of move on and go with the times. Transfer fees are just going up. We're receiving more money for players. I think when Matt O'Reilly eventually moves on, it'll be probably for a record transfer fee. Certainly it'll be, I don't think it'll be any less than 25 million we get for Matt O'Reilly. And I think in line with that, we need to be looking to spend a little bit more. And is, just over £6 million really that much for someone like Bernardo, who's young? And I think is he 22 years old, I want to say, Bernardo, and certainly has a lot of potential and is only going to be better for this season at Celtic. I think if Brendan Rodgers wants him, you go out and you pay the money and you sign him. We've got so much money in the bank. I mean, it's well documented. We've got close to 100 million, and that's before what could be another 50 million from participation in the new look Champions League next season. The money is there. If Rodgers wants Bernardo and Idah, pay that money, get them both in. What a massive boost and a statement of intent it would be to sign both of them. So that's where I'm at in both of them. I'm guessing some of you, I'm kind of hoping everyone at this stage is saying, sign Idah, certainly. I'm guessing there'll be a bit of debate over Bernardo. And I've probably been a bit of a critic of Bernardo as well. I think at times this season he's let games pass him by. He's not imposed himself enough for the quality that he certainly has. But I just think I think he's shown enough this season, and I think, as I say, you'll get more from Bernardo. Probably playing a greater part with more game opportunities next season, a further year down the line, knowing the league, knowing the club, knowing the manager. I think it makes a big difference for him to be a permanent Celtic player as well. So I'm really hoping he's one we can sign. I don't even need to say anything about Idah. Hopefully my love for Adam Idah has come across over the last 4 or 5 months. I've just, ever since his couple of goals, I think, in his first start at Easter Road, I've just loved the guy, and that love is only growing. So yeah, that's the kind of transfer stuff at the moment. As I say, this stuff is going to go on all summer. Certainly the Idah and Bernardo stuff, I think, is going to go on for a good few weeks yet, and we're going to have a number of other players linked with us, goalkeepers, left backs. So yeah, there's going to be lots to talk about, don't worry about that. Now, just a wee update, our players have started jetting off around the world on their holidays and doing things. I'm slightly out my comfort zone here, so please bear with me. Greg Taylor has got married, according to reports. Todd Cantwell was not invited to the wedding. In fact, I don't think very many people were. Talk of it being an unofficial wedding, whatever that means. Odin Thiago Home is in Marbella. He could have been there for the last 6 months, to be honest. That's harsh from me, but I struggle to see where he fits in to things next season. I think tomorrow's video will maybe just take a look at the entire Celtic squad and kind of split people into different camps. Maybe like, I saw a video somewhere. It was maybe folk doing it with Man United. I think it was in Gary Neville's thing, Overlap, and they were talking about keep, sell, or one more chance or whatever, and I'll maybe add a loan section in there as well. So you can look forward to that tomorrow. Spoiler, but I don't think Odin Thiago Home should be playing for Celtic next season. I think certainly you'd be looking to loan him out or potentially sell. He's clearly not fancied by Brendan Rodgers, but hopefully he's having a good holiday. Adam Idah is in London, doing something, meeting up with someone, promoting something. Joe Hart is still sharing nice messages from Celtic teammates on Instagram. I'm not sure this wee segment that we're trialling out will ever be repeated. Ben Siegrist, Tomoki Iwata and Daisen Maeda have seemingly flown together to Japan. Siegrist shared this image on Instagram, and what is most remarkable about this is that Daisen Maeda is actually piloting the plane while getting this photo taken. That guy can just he just does everything, and he can be everywhere at once. Siegrist has clearly made it to Australia as well. Who can blame him? Where he's met up with his long-distance girlfriend, Brittany Hockley, and now she's a bit of a celeb here. As the Aussie Daily Mail writes, yes, they have the Daily Mail here as well, the lovebirds looked comfortable and casual while enjoying a walk in the late autumn sunshine. The co-host of the Life Uncut podcast wore very tight black leggings showing off her curves and a white long sleeve top bearing just a touch of midriff. Wow, this has all gone a bit 50 Shades of Grey, hasn't it? Apparently they met in November 2022, when I think is when we were in Sydney for the matches. But they met on the celebrity dating app Raya. Celebrity dating app. I didn't honestly know there was such a thing, but yeah. And yeah, that's all well and good. I wonder if Siegrist is going to be moving out here permanently in the summer. I think there's been talk of that in the past, him finding an A-League club, probably in Sydney. I think that's where she's based. So that may be one to keep an eye on. There's been murmurings, I think, in the media of Celtic looking at not one but two goalkeepers this summer, so a replacement for Joe Hart and possibly a replacement for Ben Siegrist as well. So one to keep an eye on. And finally, Scott Brown has appeared to take a dig at a player from our rivals who uses a certain social media app that takes videos that are very long and narrow. Speaking after Sunday's Legends game at Celtic Park, where we beat Borussia Dortmund 4-2, Brown said, "There's a lot of people talk in the press and talk on social media and do all their TikToks and YouTube stuff, or whatever it is." Did I do YouTube stuff? The good thing about our club is that they do their talking on the park and they continue to do that. It's not about outside, it's about the focus that is inside the football club and the mentality to keep going day to day. Fabulous stuff from Scott Brown, and he makes a very good point about, sure, Celtic players post a fair bit on Instagram. Like, I think I worked this out that virtually every player is on Instagram. I think Callum McGregor and James Forrest are potentially the only two who aren't on Instagram, which I think is interesting in itself. But they certainly love a post on Instagram, but the vast majority of it is done after games. They very rarely say things they're going to do. I think they treat it in the right way and post about things after the event, which you kind of can't argue with. And I think when things were tough this season, you didn't see players making big statements on Instagram or TikTok or whatever. They basically hunkered down and fought through things together and led us to a double, which I think a double's a really good result based on how this season was going at one stage. I mean, we were basically only on for a double this season because we lost away back at the start. What was it? I think it was August we went out of the League Cup to Kilmarnock. So we've been on for a domestic double ever since August. And we're nearly next August. And the team have achieved what they set out to do and done it after coming through a fair bit of difficulty. So yeah, massive credit, I think, in Scott Brown's bang on. He knows about Celtic doing their talking on the pitch, and you just love supporting a team that comes good at the end of the season, and Celtic have certainly done that. So yeah, everything is well, and tomorrow, as I say, we'll take a look at the state of the current Celtic squad and potentially ahead to next season as well. Yes, we're doing it already. It's going to be a long summer.